to Conversations with Nash. Thank you so much for joining me. It is another Wednesday and I have another story I want to talk about. I don't know why I'm that excited. Like, honestly, don't be that excited. Okay, I have another story I want to talk about. As I said in my previous Conversations with video, that there were two stories that I'd asked people if they're interested in hearing about them, and that was the SK video, which I've done a video about that. You can go and you can watch it after this. It's really interesting and I'd love to hear your thoughts. The second story was the Kanye West mental illness or mental health story. And that's what I want to talk about today. Let's talk about the king himself. Well, that's what he calls himself. Let's talk about Kanye West, okay? So obviously, I need to sort of tread lightly on this topic because one, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or any medical doctor in any sense. So this is not something that I can speak with authority on. I would like to share my opinion on just the treatment of mental health as a whole. And I believe that each and every one of us is on the spectrum, somehow or some way. I myself have been diagnosed with depression in the past. Yeah, I just feel like it's something that each and every one of us should concern ourselves with, and understanding it, as well as knowing how to deal with it when we are going through it, as well as when somebody else is going through it. So I just want to talk about the idea of dealing with a mental health crisis, such as the one that I believe Kanye West is going through, being a celebrity and having a history that Kanye West has, and how people have treated that, as well as just dealing with mental health in the Black community, and how historically mental health has been something that has been shunned, something that has been looked down on, and something that hasn't been something easy to talk about in the Black community. But okay, let's start. As always, I have my notes, because you never know. You might just start talking and then you talk about other things when you're supposed to talk about other things. But anyway, so where I wanted to start is sort of looking at a history of who Kanye West is, right? Or who Kanye West was. I mean, there's the popular, phrase that, there's the old Kanye. I like the old Kanye, that he popularized, right? And by history, I don't want to talk about music. I don't know a lot about Kanye West music. I will not lie. Yes, I've listened to Kanye West music in the past, but I'm not a connoisseur in any, shape or form. So I'm not going to talk about his music. I want to talk about Kanye West, the personality. And my understanding is that, and from the research that I've been doing, and from things that I've watched in the past, is that Kanye West has always been this outspoken, controversial, confident, leaning towards arrogant personality. Kanye West has always been the type of person to speak his mind, not afraid of anyone, always been controversial, would say all sorts of outrageous things, and this is something that isn't new. This is who the personality Kanye West has been. That's my understanding of who he is. I mean, if you look back and you look at the rants that he gave way back in the day when he said George Bush is a racist, and those are the type of things Kanye West did. I mean, one of the moments that is sort of imprinted in most people's minds would be when he got up at the Grammys. Was it the Grammys? Oh gosh. Anyway, when he got up at the Grammys, when Taylor Swift won, and he then got up and did a whole rant about the fact that, Beyonce should have won. So this is Kanye West's persona. This is who he has been, who he has always been, right? Then and it was never attributed to any sort of mental illness. It was just, he's outspoken, he's crazy, he's controversial, he says what's on his mind, and that's that. And then obviously at the age of 40, Kanye West comes out and he says, you know what, I've been diagnosed with bipolar. This is, I believe, when he had the breakdown, and he was hospitalized and he had memory loss, and obviously then they went through some form of diagnosis and they came out to the fact that Kanye West has bipolar, and that is his mental illness. Now, a lot of people, because of the fact that Kanye West had lived his life for 40 years and had been known for rants and controversies, had been known for, controversial statements and rants and that sort of thing, a lot of people didn't believe that he had bipolar. They would rather believe that, something else that we're going to get into, they would rather believe that, people are saying that he has bipolar disorder or mental illness as a way to control him, to censor him, to censor what he says, because if people just believe that you're having a mental illness, they're not going to take you seriously. And his controversial statements can then have some sort of, or you can fall back on the fact that I was having an episode or I was having mental illness. And then the most outrageous one is the fact that, it's his family that's trying to control him, his family being the Kardashians. I'm going to get into the Kardashian story and how crazy that becomes. So that's what happens at the age of 40. Kanye West is then diagnosed with bipolar, and he then starts speaking out quite openly about his mental illness and his struggles and his medication, taking medication, not taking medication. This was used when he went on TMZ and said slavery was a choice. And, the sort of statement that came out from that was that, no, Kanye is having an episode and he, hasn't been taking his medication. He says that in the clip. He says, I haven't been taking my medication because these people are trying to control what I think and what I do. So there's this narrative that it's not true that Kanye West has a mental illness, and that it's just industry propaganda, and it is the industry trying to control him, as well as his PR team and his family trying to find a way to, after the mental illness thing, then there were a variety of different rants that Kanye West then went into. He went to Ellen DeGeneres and he went on a rant there. This is supposedly has been deleted from the Ellen DeGeneres show on YouTube, and there are certain sections of that interview that were never aired on air because it was very jarring, I suppose. And so he has had that in the past. As I said, he went on to TMZ and the whole slavery was a choice rant that he gave. And then everybody knows the Taylor Swift rant. So let's move out of that. So this is now framing Kanye West as, the mentally ill person who has bipolar, who goes on these rants, and everyone sort of does not have to take it seriously because this man is going through a mental breakdown, right? Now there's a big part of this conversation that says, yes, you have a mental illness, but you still have to be held accountable for each and every single thing that you say. So for instance, as a black community, when he said slavery is a choice, people were saying, we understand that you have bipolar disorder and sometimes you can go on a tangent, but if you believe what he had said, then that's a problem. There has to be accountability for the things that you say and the things that you do, despite your mental health issues. So there's that conversation, right? It's how far can someone with a mental health issue or mental illness, how far can they use their mental illness as an excuse? And I'm putting this in quotations because I'm putting this in quotations. How far can they use it as an excuse for things that they've done in their life? Like, for instance, if someone was in a depressive state and they were depressed at some point in their life and they isolated friends and family and acted in a specific way, and then they come out of that depressive state, how much responsibility should they take for the things that they did when they were in that state? And I mean, it's a big question. It really is, because if your mental health issue was the reason why you acted in a particular way, what is your responsibility in that instance? And this is a big conversation around Kanye West. It's, you say all of these outrageous things, you say things that are not PC, and because you have outspokenly said that you have bipolar disorder and you have mental health issues, it's difficult to A, take you seriously, but B, why shouldn't we take you seriously when you can come out and say such and such and such? So it's a big topic, it's a big discussion, and I want to hear what your thoughts are on that. What are your thoughts on responsibility of actions and things that you say when you have mental health issues, and when you are obviously visibly going through a period of disassociation, or when you are visibly going through an episode, and it can be seen in not just your interviews, but it can be seen in your tweets and the way that you're talking. People can see that, okay, there is some sort of disassociation here. When do you know what to take seriously and what not? So that's an interesting discussion. Please have it in the comment section below. Now let's talk about the current situation that's happening with Kanye West. So this happened because Kanye West has always said that in 2020 he wants to run for president, right? He's always said this, it's not a new thing. So when he came out really late in the in the process, when he came out and said, I'm running for president, everyone was sort of taken aback. Like, what, really? We thought you were joking all that time. We thought you know what I mean. And you're late, and come on. You're just, there must be a project coming out or something. There's no way. Then he goes on and he like registers with some states, and so that he can be, so that he can show on the ballot. And people are like, okay. And then all sorts of theories that I'm not going to get into in this video, about, the Trump, administration using Kanye West to take votes from Joe Biden. I ain't American, but I'm black. And the idea that black people are just going to vote for Kanye West because he's black is ridiculous. But that's not what I'm talking about today. So he comes out, he says he's running for president, and then he has a rally. And obviously in that rally, that's where he goes on a massive rant. And what most people are believing to be some sort of mental health episode. Bipolar episode, where he goes on a rant talking about abortion, talking about all sorts of policies. I do not agree with Kanye West politics, obviously, but anyway, talking about abortion, talking about the fact that he and his wife, Kim Kardashian, were going to abort Kim wanted to abort their first child, and going on and on about the fact that if abortion was the fact that abortion is something that is a choice in the United States, he would have not been here if his father had decided to abort him. And he goes and he cries, and then straight after that he goes on another rant all over social media talking about his wife, and his wife's mother, and talking about, divorce comes into the picture and whether or not Kim Kardashian then had an affair with one of his friends, blah, blah, blah. So all of that happens. And obviously the world and, social media is having a front row seat to what is believed to be an episode that Kanye West is having. Personally, I believe that he is going through some sort of mental break. He then later after that took himself to the hospital to go and get checked because he felt like he was having anxiety. He was then, the doctor said he was okay, essentially, and that he wasn't having an anxiety attack. And obviously, not having an anxiety attack most definitely does not mean not having a bipolar, episode. It doesn't mean that. But the way that people have treated the mental health issue with Kanye West has been quite disgusting, to be quite honest. But it is something that I want to talk about because it goes back to the question that I asked of how much responsibility can someone who's going through a mental health break, how much responsibility do they have for their actions and the things that they say in the moment that it is happening, right? Because there is reflective responsibility. You could do all of these things in the moment of your mental health break. When you come out of your mental health break and you've had time to reflect, you can realize that, oh, I did A, B, C, and D, take responsibility for it, apologize for it, and move past it. But how much responsibility does someone take in that moment? And how much how much are we as a society contributing to this mental break when we are, making fun of him, or we are hypercritical of the things that he's saying right now, or taking it very seriously. But at the same time, should we not be taking it seriously? Should we just be going, oh my God, he's going through a mental health break and he needs people to he needs to go to the hospital and that's it. And we don't take any of these things that he's doing seriously, because then where do you draw the line on that person's real ambitions and that person's mental health break? Because if Kanye West has always wanted to be president prior to having any mental issues, and he now is sort of executing that, but because people are believing that he has this mental health issue, then people wouldn't take him seriously. But how much of that is, where do you draw the line of this is where reality starts and this is where reality begins and ends with this person? Or are those people just never taken seriously, which is concerning? Taken seriously, nobody knows when you are being serious or not, because nobody knows when you are okay and when you are not. It is incredibly difficult to navigate that, especially when you are not a person who can diagnose someone and know what's happening. It's difficult to know, because at the same time, there are people that are smarter than most. There are people that are critical thinkers all the time. There are people that think in that way and aren't, and don't have any mental health issues, So when do we know what is real and what is not? I don't know. But you can tell me in the comment section down below. What do you think? Okay, let me check my notes. I do tend to go on a tangent. He then obviously came back, apologized to his wife, and it's believed that his wife then flew to Wyoming, and they had a really intense situation where Kim was filmed crying, and obviously this is really difficult for the family. There is also a part of this where Kim then came out and was talking about the fact that the way that people have reacted to this is really not helpful, because the way that people were then vilifying the family and saying, how could they let him get to this point, and it's the family's fault, and blah blah blah. And she came out and she was like, listen, dealing with someone who has a mental issue is really, really difficult, and when they are at a certain age, it is up to them to decide that they want to receive the help that you want to give to them. It's very difficult to force that onto someone, and that, you know, the public needs to give the family some space to deal with this and give them some sort of understanding. It's fair what she's saying, and I agree with that. I was watching Russell Brand. Also, I don't know, Russell Brand has a YouTube channel with 2.3 million subscribers. Anyway, I was watching Russell Brand, and he was also talking about this, and he was talking about the fact that he also has a mental illness, and he was saying, you know, it's better to be the person that has the mental illness than the family that has to deal with it, you know, because you just don't know what to do. You don't know. So yeah, I think it's not right that people are vilifying this family, especially during this time while this is happening, and making it seem like it's their fault and they aren't doing enough, and it's a difficult thing, and it's just not okay to be doing that. Okay, yeah, that's I don't know if I spoke about everything I wanted to speak about, but my thing is, I might not agree with Kanye West's politics, which are very right-wing Republican Christian, and I'm Christian too, but I'm not right-wing Republican. I'm not American, so, but anyway, I'm not any of that, and I don't agree with a lot of his political thoughts and political beliefs. However, I do think that we should be compassionate when we are dealing with someone who has a mental illness. But my question comes in, when do we know when someone's having an episode? 1. 2, how much responsibility can someone take in a situation like that while it's happening? Never mind the realizing it post it happening and going, oh wow, you know, I was having a mental break or whatever it is. During the moment, how much responsibility does one take of the things that they say? And how much responsibility should Kanye West be taking right now? 3, just for funsies, should people be taking him seriously running for president? Yeah, that's it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope I handled this with care, I hope. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Please remember to like, share this video, because I want these things to be shared so we can talk about them. Share this video, comment down below, that's the most important. Comment your thoughts, let's have a discussion. I respond to most of your comments in the comment section below. And subscribe to my channel, and remember to ask your friends to come and subscribe too, so that we can be a big community of communicators and people who talk about things and share their ideas. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Bye!